So how are these three standards, ISO 27001, DCIL, and NIS2, how are they structured? And what should you know? So all of them are risk-based and have this continuous improvement philosophy and structure built in. So the name of the ISO standard, for example, is Information Security, Cybersecurity and Privacy Protection, Information Security Management Systems. Okay, that's a lot of words. What it means is that it's a framework and a system for how you're going to manage your information security and your cybersecurity and your privacy protection in a way that keeps you organized and helps you continuously improve. So it's a management framework. And it's very, very abstract if you look into the standard, because it needs to fit all types and sizes of companies, everything from a shoe factory and a hairdresser to a tech startup and a huge company like Microsoft. So when you create a standard that has to fit all those types, it has to be very abstract. So there's no checklist. It's not like a list you can just say, okay, I just need this, this, and this, and then I'm done. It's more like you have to go through a process and make choices about how this fits into your reality. And everything is risk-based. So risk assessment is really at the core of this standard, and also the two other standards, or the two other frameworks. These two is not a standard. I'll come back to that. So it's not like a law text, it's more like a framework. And it's based on what's called lean management philosophy that you might have heard about before, that has this plan, do, check, act cycle. So that's actually built into the ISO standard. And that's a cycle of continuous improvement. So you plan something, you implement it, then you check how well does it work, and then you act, which means you improve if there's something in that check that shows that things are not as good as you want them to be. There's opportunity for improvement. So that's the continuous improvement cycle. So all of the three frameworks have this in common. They have continuous improvement cycle built in, and they have some sort of requirements. So I'll come back to these because they look a little bit different. It's different how detailed and how clear they are. So we'll dive into that for each of them, how it looks. So if we go into the ISO 27001, it has something called the Annex A controls. And then it has something called the clauses. So two different things where you can see requirements. So a clause can look like this. 5.2 says that top management must establish information security policy. And then it has some things about how that looks, and it must be documented. So this is an example from the ISO 27001 standard. It's a clause. It means, and the clauses are something that are required. So this is something you have to have if you're following ISO 27001. So as you can see, it's quite abstract. It says something about, yeah, you need commitments and you need it documented and communicated, but not a lot about how you do this. And still in the ISO 27001, we have the Annex A. So that is a long list with 93 controls. And what is interesting about this is that they're actually not strict requirements. Again, you have to look at each of them and say, are they applicable to our organization? Yes or no? And if yes, then you should implement them. If no, you can say they're not applicable. So in that sense, they're not strict requirements because some of them can be not applicable. But you do need to have a good answer if someone comes and says and asks, why is that control not applicable to you? For example, a control can be working in secure areas. So you might not have any kind of secure areas or work that needs secure areas. So you can say that's not applicable, and you can explain why it's not applicable. Then there's another control up here, 518, access rights. And that's general like access to systems. And if you say that's not applicable, it's very hard to explain in most cases that it's not applicable. So this one will usually be a control that you would have. So that's how the requirements for the ISO standard works. We have the clauses that are inside the standard itself, and then this Annex A is like an appendix with all the 93 controls, where you look at each of them and say, this one we need, and this one is not applicable. So that's the ISO requirements. And then if you want more detailed guidance of, okay, how do we actually do this access control? The ISO 27001 is linked to another standard in the same family with the number 2 instead of 1. And it just simply contains, it's a folding out of the Annex A. So you can look into that one and get some help. Okay, how do I actually implement this control 518? So it folds out the text here and gives you more guidance. And I just, showing some of the text, how it looks. So here you get some more information and you can use that to actually implement it. Okay, I'm just going to pause here and ask if there are any questions.
Yes, Bodil, question.
Yeah.
Do you require all the 93 controls to pass certification for it?
No, it's like I said, you have to look at each of them and say, is this applicable for us? Yes or no. So it might be in many smaller companies, maybe it's, it really depends on what you're doing. If you're a software company, it would be a lot of them. It would be maybe 60, 70 controls that are applicable, but some of them are not. Like a lot of the physical controls, like secure areas and secure loading area and stuff like that, you can say it's not applicable. So no, you don't need to have all the controls implemented to pass an audit.
All right.
Okay, let's move on.